Did you know that if you didn't say anything, you could say more than anyone else? Imagine, there is a lot of noise when you walk in because everyone is trying to be heard. You, on the other hand, choose to remain silent. You stay cool and collected even though chaos is going on around you, and your presence seems to draw people's attention. It gets quieter over time. Now people are paying attention. Your strength comes from being quiet. In today's video, we'll show you how silence can be very powerful. I will show you how talking less can make you more powerful, respected, and sure of yourself than words ever could. Are you ready to learn how being quiet can change your life? Don't leave now. This will forever change the way you talk to people. 1. Words reveal, silence protects. Whenever you talk, you reveal something. It might be that you are impatient, scared, or don't have enough information. When people open their mouths, they don't realize how quickly they show their hand. Nature gave us one tongue and 2 ears so we could hear twice as much as we speak. The Stoic Epictetus said. The majority of guys, though, do the opposite. People talk a lot because they think it makes them more important, but it actually makes them look weak. Staying quiet helps you keep your thoughts safe. You keep your feelings safe. It's hard for people to understand you. It's not by being fully known that someone gains power. It's by being partially hidden. You start to work on a different level when you're quiet. You're not just reacting to the world, you're quietly changing how it responds to you. You send out bits of your inner world every time you speak. Your beliefs, your weaknesses, your hopes, and your fears. A lot of people don't understand that the more they talk, the easier it is for others to use what they say against them. In everyday interactions, they talk too much. They want to persuade, explain, or protect, but all they're doing is showing who they are. Things like this were bad for the Stoics. Epictetus said that the first sign of a wise man was being able to rein in his words. He knew that people can't control you as much as you share. Silence is more than just not making noise, it's also a defensive strategy. When you choose not to speak, especially when you're feeling strongly, you stay in charge. You don't get involved in arguments that don't matter, that you don't say anything you'll feel bad about. People aren't able to use what you reveal against you. Instead, you just watch, that you hear. People's words, actions, and possible motives are all things you pay attention to. As they use words to prove their worth, you're quietly gathering information. That is power, not apathy. Men do this because they know that the best position in any argument is to not have to speak. Think about what people do when someone stops talking all of a sudden. There is stress, and interest, occasionally even fear. This is because silence leaves room, and most people don't like being in empty rooms. They rush to fill it, which leaves even more open. But the person who stays calm when nothing is said, he sets the mood in the room. His behavior is not begging for attention. He tells it what to do by staying still. For those who don't speak, others must guess what you're thinking. They often show more about themselves than they mean to when they guess. These people have to do the work. They project because you make them. That projector shows you even more details while hiding where you are. When you're alone, you can't be trusted. In a world that is concerned with control, being predictable means being open to harm. Men who talk a lot are often the easiest to beat because they've already shown you how to do it. But the man who was quiet, it's not clear what his goal is. His motivation is unknown to you. You do not know what he can do. Other people are scared of that unknown, but it makes you feel very strong. That kind of personality doesn't need a lot of volume. It just needs discipline. A wise person doesn't speak unless their words have a greater meaning, just like an experienced fighter doesn't show his sword unless he plans to use it. If you want to talk, stop what you're doing. Think about it. Is this to help me understand or to feel better? If you only want to feel better, don't say it. Maintain the line. Believe in yourself in the silence. Do not take people's words for granted. When you keep your feelings safe by being quiet, you don't just keep your honor. You build something much stronger. The steady presence of a man who doesn't have to explain himself to be understood. 2. Silence builds presence. Presence isn't about being loud, meaning being felt without pushing yourself on the room. As he walks into a room, a man who doesn't say much but watches everything happens changes the mood around him. For the Stoics, being still was the first step to having real impact. Common restraint is often the greatest power, Seneca wrote. A society that is hooked on overexpression finds silence annoying. It creates unease, inspires interest. There is no competition for attention with the quiet man. He draws it easily, because people can tell when someone is actually seeing themselves and not wanting to be seen. Being quiet makes people pay attention to more than just your words, which gives your presence weight. A lot of people are quick to talk, make small talk, and make noise. They need help getting along with others. They need to be liked. Still, they lose some of the wonder when they do that. And mystery draws people in. People begin to see meaning in you when you're quiet, even if they don't know why. They lean in close. They give meaning. They have questions. It gives you power to think. People see what they want to see, or what they are afraid to see in your silence. That's being there. The psychic weight of that. Think about the most important people in history. There were leaders, generals, and thinkers in the room who didn't talk much, but made the room quiet when they did. Their impact wasn't based on talking all the time. It was based on trust, inner calm, and the discipline to keep quiet until it was important to speak up. Marcus Aurelius did not need to shout to everyone in the Roman Empire. He showed the way. That's right. Think about it. He spoke with power because his words were backed up by his silence. Most guys try to get respect by making a lot of noise, like posting status updates, opinion pieces, and signals all the time. However, the Stoic way is not the same. You don't add to your appearance, you take away from it. Get rid of the need to show off. Take away the pressure to do well. One man is left who is very rare. He doesn't need to talk to be taken seriously. A man whose quiet strength makes people change how they talk when they're around him. Practicing silence is more than just lowering your voice. Being cool, taking slow breaths, and looking people in the eye are all things you do before you speak. A few days later, people start to feel it. When they talk to you, they hold their voice down. They think about what they say more. Others have learned something about you from your silence. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to move people. When someone is present in a controlled, focused, and unbothered way, they can't be ignored. 3. Talking destroys mystery. There's a reason why quiet people are often the most interesting. Power lies in mystery. It makes people tense, interested, and curious. You break down that riddle every time you talk for no reason, though. It gets easier to predict, understand, and be around you. The Stoics believed that people should have control over what they said because they knew that words can never be taken back. Aristotle said, "The more we value things we can't control, the less control we have." What's even less under your control than how other people understand what you say? You put yourself out there too much when you talk too much. You begin to talk about things that no one asked about. You give reasons, backstories, and feelings that could have been your own. You think you're bonding, but all you're doing is taking away everything that made you interesting. People stop caring about you, not because you're not good enough, but because they've seen too much. People are drawn in by mysteries. They have to lean forward to do it. But after you lay everything out on the table, they can't find anything else. They have already figured out you, so you're no longer a puzzle. And things that have been solved rarely have power. People are more likely to wonder when there is silence. It makes them wonder about your beliefs, your intentions, and your limits. And they are still interested in the questions. They pay more attention. They are more careful with what they say. Your reserve shows them how insecure they are. To fill the void, they start to talk more. And the more they talk, the more they show. While you stay hidden. That's a psychological edge that not many people know how to use. When people talk less, they often worry about disappointing the man who says the least. This can happen in relationships, at work, or in social situations. Why? Since he hasn't given away everything, they aren't sure how they feel about him. They have no idea what he feels about them. It makes them smarter, more careful, and more polite because they don't know what will happen. But what about the man who talks all the time, shares too much, and always wants to be liked? It's easy to read him and easy to ignore him. Being hard to read can be a skill. Being unknown gives you power. When you control your tongue, you change how people see you, not just how you see yourself. You give people room to imagine. You let other people fill in the holes out of respect, not boredom. Don't talk as much. Say only what you need to, and let your quiet create a story they can't quite figure out. They stop looking for you once they think they know everything about you. People will always watch you if you hold something back. 4. Over-explaining is a form of insecurity. The man who feels the need to explain himself too much is quietly desperate. He believes that the more he talks, the more he can change how people see him. But really, it's a sign of being scared. It seems like he's trying to show himself and everyone else that he's enough, that he fits, and that he matters. But the Stoics saw this behavior for what it was, a waste of time, a sign of weakness, and eventually a way to hurt oneself. Epictetus said, "If you want to get better, be happy to look like you don't know what you don't know." You don't have to explain everything you do or think. What matters is that you own it quietly and with confidence, and let your actions speak louder than your words. When you explain too much, you give other people control over who you are. You become desperate to be liked. You start to explain your decisions, your thoughts, and your behaviors in the hopes that this will help other people understand and accept you. But this makes you seem less important to them. Someone who is always trying to show themselves doesn't have any respect. They value people who are just who they are. This is what the Stoic philosopher Zeno said. Well-being is attained little by little, but it is still no small thing itself. The point isn't to explain everything you do. It's to give your deeds enough meaning that they speak for themselves. Think about a man who always says, "I did this because," when he makes a choice. "I said that because," "I want this because." It gets annoying, and what's worse, it shows that they don't believe what they're saying. That's why you wouldn't need to describe yourself if you really knew who you were and what you stood for. The more you talk, the more room there is for people to question or criticize you. And it's hard to close that door after you open it. When you don't describe things too much and let silence fill in the blanks, you let people respect you even if they don't fully understand you. It is clear from what you do that what you say is true, and that is enough. The Stoics knew about this power. Alexander the Great was a great ruler who didn't need to explain himself to anyone. Neither his choices nor his thoughts were backed up by long explanations. He led with passion, honesty, and a strong sense of what he wanted to achieve. When you start living this way, people will stop asking you questions, which is a big deal. They will no longer question your goals. They will care about what you do, not what you say. The quiet guy doesn't have to say why he does what he does. He does it. That's enough. When you want to explain something, take a step back. Trust what you're doing. Trust that you don't need to be validated and that your worth is already there, not something that can be changed. Talk only when you have to, and when you do, make sure it's because what you have to say makes sense, not because you feel like you have to explain yourself. 5. Silence elevates your words. Your words are stronger when you don't say much. The reason is simple. If you talk a lot, your words lose weight. They blend in with the background noise and are quickly forgotten or ignored. Smart people choose their words carefully and speak less often but with purpose. Then their words have weight. The Stoic philosophers were very good at this. They knew that words should be used to make things clear, not just to fill up space. The great Seneca once said, "Speech is the mirror of the soul. What a man says, that is what he is." This means that the more you think about what you say, the more you change how people see you. Think of a time when people only talked when they had something important to say. As the stress rose, the room went quiet, and all of a sudden, everyone was paying close attention to every word. That's what quiet can do. People listen more when you talk less. They want something useful. People lean in because they know that when you finally speak, it won't be empty talk. It's something to think about. It's solid. In this way, silence is the best way to start a powerful conversation. It makes you want to know more. It makes room for your words to hit home. Think about how much time we waste talking about things that don't matter, like social media posts, casual chats, and the need to be heard in meetings and other group settings. The more words you say that aren't important lowers your voice. It's like giving away some of your power every time you say something that isn't important. But your words are more powerful when you hold back and wait for the right time. The way they are given is on purpose. They have power because they were made after careful thought, reflection, and planning. Marcus Aurelius didn't have to talk much as a king, but when he did, people listened to what he had to say. His journal, Meditations, is full of short, clear thoughts. Each line is full of meaning without going into too much detail. He knew that talking for no reason would make him less powerful. His words were strong because they were hard to find. His pause before speaking made what he had to say even stronger. What does this mean for you? Remember this. Your words should be precious, not plentiful. Whether you're running a team, talking to friends, or just going about your daily life. Pick the times and ways you talk with care. When you talk, make sure that what you say has meaning. People will respect you more not because you talk more, but because they know you only talk when it's important. Sometimes being quiet can make what you say more powerful. And a man whose voice really carries is one who has learned silence. 6. Silence commands respect. Respect is not something you get by talking. It's something you show by what you do, being there, and most importantly, being quiet. People have to get used to you when you stay quiet, not the other way around. You make them think about what they say, be careful with their words, and treat your space with respect. When everybody else is talking, the person who doesn't say anything becomes important. People naturally think that someone who takes a while to speak must have something important to say. There's no need for them to speak because they're fine with the silence. The Stoics really respected this kind of self-control, which shows that you are strong on the inside. That person who talks about everything is a fool, but that person who only talks when they need to is smart. It's not like the wise man talks just to fill the void or join in the empty chatter. He talks when it's important and when what he says will make the most difference. So until that time comes, he stays still, and his silence gives it power. This is the place where real respect grows. People start to notice that you don't need to talk to them all the time to get their support. You don't have to tell them what you think or feel. What you do and don't say speaks louder than any words. Think about how people treat the man who doesn't say much. He has an air of respect about him, don't you think? When he does talk, people pay close attention. People listen to him because they know he doesn't waste words. You don't have to earn this respect. You have to be consistent, disciplined, and in charge. You can use your silence even more effectively once you've established your position. When you choose to share your thoughts, people will come to value those times. They will start to ask for your opinion because they know you are calm, thoughtful, and determined. The man who talks too much, on the other hand, often loses respect because he is always trying to explain, get approval, or add his view to every conversation. His words sound cheap, dull, and old after a while. He doesn't give other people a chance to interact with him in a useful way. But what about the quiet man? He gives things a sense of depth and wonder. He's interesting, so people are drawn to him. Their interest is kept up by his silence. And when he does talk, what he says is important. This idea isn't just about interacting with other people. It's also true in work settings. People respect a leader who listens more than he talks and only speaks when appropriate. His lack of words shows that he doesn't need to prove himself because what he does that for him. His ability to make decisions, his calm demeanor, and the strength he shows by not talking too much are all things that people admire about him. So, if you want to be respected, learn how to be quiet. Don't feel like you have to talk all the time. Don't try to show off how smart or knowledgeable you are. Let the fact that you're there speak for itself instead. After some time, people will respect you not for how much you talk, but for how much you don't say. When you do talk, they will pay more attention. 7. Silence forces others to think. You give others time to think when you stay quiet. You give them room to fill the silence, think more deeply about what they say, and come up with their own ideas. The person who talks the most sets the pace, controls the story, and steers the conversation, especially when there is a disagreement or argument. But someone who doesn't say anything makes other people think more deeply, question their own beliefs, and improve their cases. This is the power of silence. It makes other people think about what they are saying before they say it. The Stoics were very good at using this method. In many of the things they wrote, they talked about how important it is to think about things and talk to yourself. Because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, we can listen twice as much as we speak, Epictetus said. When you listen more and talk less, you not only help others understand you better, you also give them a chance to change their minds. Some people find that staying quiet makes them think about what they say, do, or think about when they weren't talking. As a group, how often do we talk just to fill the time or avoid being awkward? We don't give other people a chance to think when we talk too much. But when we choose quiet, we give them a chance to think about what they said, and they might even realize they haven't thought things through all the way. This works especially well when people are arguing or debating. It's like when you talk, you show more about your position. But if you don't say anything, the other person will often have to fill in the holes, which could make them contradict themselves or change their mind completely. Silence also makes people want to talk more deeply. When people don't have to talk all the time, they can share deeper feelings. They start to ask you what you think and are looking forward to hearing what you have to say. They start to think more about what you're saying, not because you've said anything yet, but because your silence has given your words more weight. They need to know what you think. And when you do speak, the silence before your words makes them stronger. A wise man named Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." He knew that being quiet can be an act of power in and of itself. It helps people be more deliberate in what they say and think. It makes them think about what they believe, which often helps them understand each other better and gain deeper insights. This is the hidden power of silence. It's not just not saying anything. It's making room for other people to think, process, and grow. It's not always about winning arguments or making your point in life as a leader or in a talk. It's sometimes more powerful to wait, listen, and let someone else do the thinking for a change. When used wisely, silence can change the whole tone of a talk, giving others time to think, reflect, and adjust. They pay more attention when they talk, and they want to listen to you. 8. Silence enhances your influence. It's not about shouting or talking non-stop to have influence. It's about how powerful you are in a place without having to say anything. They say the least, but are respected the most, often end up being in charge of the group, not the person who talks the most. Being quiet makes you more powerful because it forces people to focus on your appearance instead of what you say. It's actually possible for your words to lose their power the more you talk, because they will blend in with everyone else's. But if you practice restraint and choose silence, your words will be more important and likely to move other people. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "What bothers us is not what happens to us, but what we think about what happens." In the same way, what you choose not to say shapes how people see you, not what you say. This is a way to affect someone's mind. You have power over the room by controlling what people say. You're not making comments, complaints, or jokes that aren't necessary. Instead, you give other people a chance to talk, which lets them share their thoughts, feelings, and flaws. That, in turn, helps you figure out how to influence them. In a quiet way, silence can also be used to get what you want. People are more likely to come to you for help if you don't talk much. People start to care about what you have to say not because you talk a lot, but because when you do, it sounds thoughtful, important, and well thought out. You have power because you don't use many words. A wise and important person whose words have weight because they don't come up very often, people start to see you as that. You don't have to fight or yell to be heard. You just need to keep quiet for long enough for other people to start asking you for advice. As a Stoic ruler, Marcus Aurelius didn't talk too much. What he did said a lot. His leadership wasn't shown through a steady stream of speeches. Instead, it was shown through his quiet example and the choices he made without needing to be praised all the time. He was a wise and restrained leader, and his deeds and the few times he spoke left a lasting impression. His silence wasn't just because he didn't want to say anything. It was a plan that made him more powerful. If you learn to be quiet, your actions will talk louder than anything you say. People will be able to figure out what you mean without you having to say it. People will pay more attention when you do speak up if you don't say much. Silence is a strong way to gain influence. It's not because you spoke the loudest or most, but because you know when to hold back, when to listen, and when to speak with authority. This silence gives you the power to change and guide the world around you. 9. Silence cultivates inner peace. Being quiet can help you find inner peace, which is one of its best benefits. Giving yourself time to think and listen to your own thoughts is possible when you talk less. The noise of the world, the need to fit in, and the urge to defend yourself to others are all things that can make your mind talk all the time. But being quiet lets you take a step back from everything. It helps you get clear and find your center. The Stoics thought that peace comes from inside, not from what's going on around you. Seneca once said, "The best way to calm down when you're angry is to be quiet." When practiced on purpose, silence can be a safe place to find peace in the middle of chaos. Talking or protecting yourself all the time makes your mind jumble. It's like putting noise in your head, which makes it harder to hear your own feelings and thoughts. It's hard to think about yourself when you let other people's thoughts, opinions, and views fill your mind. But if you practice being quiet, the noise starts to go away. You give yourself a chance to find out what you really think, feel, and want. You start to notice the subtle ways that your feelings and thoughts come up, and you can deal with them clearly instead of responding out of habit or social norm. He told himself over and over, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul." In this situation, silence becomes a way to understand and grow inner peace. When you take a break from the outside world and spend some time alone, you can connect with your true self. When you cut down on the noise around you, you can hear your own wise thoughts. You can think more easily, plan your actions better, and act without rushing. In the world we live in now, where there are so many distractions and so much pressure to say what you think, silence is a way to fight back. It means not getting caught up in the noise. Silence gives you time to think about yourself, which helps you become more self-aware and in charge of your emotions. It gives you a chance to get away from the chaos of everyday life and find a quiet place to think about what's important. You will feel more at peace with yourself as you spend more time in silence. You'll start to see that many of your ideas and words are rubbish. And as you let go of the need to always say what you want, your mind will quiet down, your feelings will calm down, and your life will become more peaceful. You can use silence to gain respect or influence, but you can also use it to find peace, which is what real strength and wisdom are built on. 10. Silence reflects true confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from talking a lot, bragging about your skills, or showing off how smart you are. Being able to stay cool, collected, and quiet when needed shows that you have real confidence. It shows in the way you hold back in discussions, where you don't need to talk to fill the void, just to prove your worth. When you're alone, being quiet shows that you trust yourself and don't need anyone else to tell you how valuable you are. This kind of quiet confidence is strong and hard to find. Confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to say anything to prove your worth is more stable and sure than confidence that comes from talking a lot. This is what the Stoic sage Epictetus said: "Freedom is the only good goal in life. We win by ignoring things that are out of our control." You are learning freedom when you choose to be quiet. That means you won't have to constantly defend, explain, or show that your ideas and thoughts are right. That what you say or how much attention you get doesn't make you valuable. If you really believe that you are enough just the way you are, then you are truly confident. Being quiet doesn't mean you're scared or nervous. It means you're in charge and sure of yourself. Think about how often people talk to fill a need. whether it's to impress others, get their support, or feel like they belong. The quiet man, on the other hand, doesn't have to show anything. He's not looking for praise from anyone. He knows that what people think of him depends on what he does and how he acts. He isn't quiet out of fear or nervousness. He chooses to be quiet because he believes in himself. There's no need for him to say anything all the time because he knows that his deeds and presence are enough to show who he is. Knowing your limits is another part of having confidence that comes from being quiet. When a man talks too much, he feels like he needs to lead and control conversations. He is afraid of being forgotten or misread. But the quiet man is sure of himself enough to let other people shine. That's because he knows that sometimes the best thing you can do is just listen. When he does speak, his words are strong, important, and valued because he chose them carefully and didn't just throw them in without thinking. Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher who was known for being quiet and strong, never looked for approval from other people. What he did and what he chose to do were clear. He wasn't sure of his power based on how loudly he could say it, but on how strongly he stuck to his ideals and led his empire with wisdom. We can learn from his actions that real confidence comes from inside and shows up in how we live, not in how much we talk. Being open to silence also means being open to more trust. You don't have to write words to show that you belong anymore. Your quiet confidence says a lot about how much you value yourself. Some people choose to be quiet instead of talking, and that calm confidence is stronger than any amount of talk. People have told you that being loud gives you power. To get that attention, you need to talk more. The Stoics, on the other hand, knew something much more important. The most powerful person is the one who can stay calm and quiet in a busy world. It gets more tense every word you hold back. Every stop makes you present. Every second of quiet tells you, I don't have to put on a show for anyone. Don't talk so much. Let the way you do things speak for itself. Let your silence help you leave a mark. Do things that will be heard more than what you say.